live.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to be here with you today for Science for Young Citizens Birds. We're just getting started here, but before we do, we first have a few important words to share from Mayor Gondek.
Welcome to the 33rd Annual Mayor's Environment Expo. As we come together from around the city, I would like to acknowledge that the Calgary area, where the Bow and Elbow Rivers meet, is a place of confluence, where the sharing of ideas and opportunities naturally come together. Indigenous people were the original caretakers of this land and the first champions of environmental conservation. This land is a home that we all share, and it's vitally important that we protect our home, our environment, by working together. What drives my optimism is seeing the innovation and commitment to climate action from all of you, our students. I will continue to amplify youth voices on the climate crisis, and I look forward to hearing your ideas. I hope this session sparks conversations and encourages all of us to take greater action in protecting our environment. Thank you all for participating.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mayor Gondek, for those important words. So Sherry is going to be our wonderful presenter today. And Sherry, if you're all ready, you're all set to begin. Oh, sorry, Sherry, you're just on mute. Yes, can hear you now.
Perfect. I was just about to say this is my third virtual Mayor's Environmental Expo, so it's funny. I feel so comfortable, yet hey, technology. So I'm so pleased to be here, especially because this is a partnership presentation. So together with Green Calgary, CPAWS is so elated to be here at Expo. CPAWS stands for Canadian Parks and Wilderness Society. We are a 13 chapter environmental organization that stretches from coast to coast to coast. And our work is, well, you can liken it to the Lorax. Like the Lorax stood up and said, I speak for the trees. CPAWS seeks to speak for all elements of the environment, from the birds, the butterflies, to the bacteria. And of course, people and humans. So we are thrilled to be here in partnership with Green Calgary. And my partner today is the lovely Grace. Would you like to introduce yourself today, Grace?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sherry. So as Sherry said, my name is Grace and I work at Green Calgary, which is an environmental charity right here in the city. And what that means is we care a lot about the health of our environment and all of the things we can do to live more sustainably, which means that I get to go all over the city talking to different schools and communities and businesses about the ways that we can create less waste, use less water and electricity, and find other ways to help keep the nature that's around us really healthy. So we don't do this alone. We get to work through this wonderful partnership with CPAWS in order to tell you a little bit more about the wonderful wildlife that live right here in our city and a little bit about citizen science. So I'm going to be your moderator for today, monitoring everything that's happening in the chat. Please feel free to use the Q&A feature throughout. And Sherry, our wonderful presenter, I will pass it back to you.
Perfect. And I should mention that both Grace and I are educators and love our jobs. The work that Grace described is very similar to what I get to do in terms of visiting classrooms and getting kids out on trails. So working with youth is one of our most exciting and important work. So it's really thrilling to be here. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to what gets us outside, what gets us going, what thrives within both the hearts of Grace and I, and that is nature. Nature, I mean, seriously, look at this tree. There is so much to take in, from the branches to the leaves to the creatures. That's right. I said creatures. Have a look, scour, seek, explore. And let us know in the chat what you come up with. There is so much to observe, ponder, and wonder in nature. The gifts of creativity and calm, the idea of curiosity and confidence are all elements that nature gives so generously. Any observations yet, my friend Grace? I should mention this is Grace's photo.
Oh, we're still waiting for some observations to come in, but while we are sharing, I can tell you a little bit of context behind this photo. It's a photo I took exactly 2 weeks ago when I was in a park right here in the middle of our city. So this is a pretty standard observation of what it would be to look at nature when we're in one of our urban areas. Oh my goodness, Sherry, we're seeing a couple really interesting observations here in our chat. We see, at least a few people. We're seeing some leaves, branches, and bark, but we also are seeing some owls. What do you think, Sherry?
Oh, yay! My goodness, well done, everybody. Grace, it is great horned owls, correct,
Yes,
that we're seeing here?
Absolutely.
I mean, amazing. Grace is a proud Calgarian. She's an explorer. She's a birder. And she found these beautiful specimens in her own urban backyard. I mean,
Yes.
it doesn't get much better.
Absolutely. It was a really special moment for me to be able to see and observe this owl and his little baby owlet found, just a few branches below there. So a very special observation. And we're so lucky to be able to have these types of creatures who can live right here with us in our city.
So such amazing observations, everyone. Thank you. It's just incredible, the connections you all just made to the world of scientists and science. Nature actually allows and actually invites the inner scientist out that lives inside all of us. Truly, scientists are defined as individuals who strive to understand and share how our world works. In other words, they make observations and ask questions exactly as you did about all the incredible that we perceive and imagine. So welcome, wanderers. Today, by the decree of Mother Nature herself, your curious minds and CPAWS and Green Calgary grant you the illustrious title of citizen scientists. Now, if anyone out there is wondering what is citizen science, in a nutshell, it's when the world of science and its professionals looks to us for help. That's right. Citizens are everyday people like you and me. When citizens like you, your friends, your classmates, your teachers help to collect data through photos and observations, these observations help professional scientists like conservation biologists conduct research on wildlife and biodiversity through the eyes of many in the wild and in the city. Basically, citizen science is citizens like you and me, plus the professional realm of scientists, together collecting data to solve real-world problems. So who are citizen scientists? I've indicated that it's you and me together, but if you're a little nervous about qualifications, here's where we're going to get down to figuring out just who has the skills to be a citizen scientist. So if you're ready, I would like you to raise your right hand if you can take pictures. Now, if you can also use a computer, I'd like you to raise your left hand. Oh my gosh, I feel like there's a lot of hands in the air right now. Grace, are you feeling it?
Yes, I am.
Okay, well, I'm gonna add to the mix. So on top of taking pictures and using computers, I'd like you to stand up if you can record information by drawing, writing, or typing. Oh my gosh, I felt it. That was a tidal wave of skill. You, my friends, you that are standing in your classrooms or at home, have everything it takes to be a citizen scientist. Now, you can have a seat, relax, but don't turn off those senses because we're going to put you to work again. Sometimes we get asked, how old is citizen science? It is absolutely not brand new. No, no, no. Citizen science has been around since humans have been curious. And many Indigenous nations have had their very own version of citizen science. Like, for instance, the Blackfoot people conducted citizen science every year in the form of a winter count. What is a winter count? Well, welcome. Here on your screen is a winter count. It is a pictorial calendar drawn on animal hide in which major events from every year are marked. Now, it's wonderful because these events are agreed upon as a community. Now, this one, if you look real close, you may see animals, weather, ideas of humans on the land. Every year, the community comes together and decides on one event in the time of since the last winter to mark on this calendar. So you'll see it spirals from the center all the way around to its end. You'll see starting in the middle, pictographs that mark animals, humans, and interactions with the landscape. Look for animals that you know. Now this belongs to the Blackfoot, and the Blackfoot elder Bull Plume and missionary Canon William Haynes are the ones that were lucky enough to take the first interpretation of this particular winter count. But we want you to have a look with your own eyes and see what you see. If you have some fun observations, maybe some great ideas of what you're seeing, please feel free to add it to the chat. Indigenous knowledge from winter counts is being used today to understand the historical weather patterns of Canada, a great tool in understanding how climate is impacting us. Now, tools, as times change, tools change. And from winter counts, we're here at eBird. Now, eBird is an example of an app that is absolutely free, that your family and friends can download into a mobile phone and get out there and start collecting the data that we know you're skilled enough to do. You've got all the qualifications, my friends. Now we're going to come back to eBird, but I just want to click on it and show you the family that as citizen scientists you're about to join. So in this map, it's a real-time map of the entire world. And where you see the yellow dots popping up and flashing is where someone has made a bird observation and put it into eBird, uploaded their photos, uploaded their identification, and you can see on the clock in the top right hand that over 25,000 observations have been done today, June 2nd, 2022. So I love looking at this map because it just shows you how connected we are, how the globe needs to focus and is focusing on working together, on keeping track of and monitoring our wonderful feathered population of birds. Now, birds, to get back to the topic at hand. Why are birds important, you might wonder? And for that answer, we have a lovely video.
At Audubon, Texas, bird conservation is at the core of what we do. But why birds? Birds are in nearly every ecosystem on the planet. They're pollinators, seed dispersers, predators, and prey. And within the network of connections that make up an ecosystem, birds are uniquely positioned to act as a sort of environmental mirror for the health of the land. This makes what's good for birds good for entire ecosystems, which includes us humans. And it means if you have to pick a place to focus your time, energy, and resources in the face of ever-growing conservation challenges, starting with birds makes a lot of sense. We focus on birds because it's bigger than birds. It's smart conservation for the state we love. With your support, we can do great things for conservation in Texas. Click below or visit tx.
Now, a few people ask us why we feature Texas. Well, we're actually really connected to Texas when it comes to the world of birds. Many of our feathered friends spend their warmer months up here with us and down in the winter with Texas. But I digress on the Texas connection and would like to ask you
Audubon.
how you go about identifying these birds, because we just learned that protecting feathery friends protects the entire ecosystem. Birds are wonderful indicator species, and birds are available. Grace and I were so excited to see the bird observations come flooding into the chat about birds that you've seen in your own neighborhoods, in your own communities. Birds are a fabulous connector when it comes to the world of nature and observations. Birds act as predators. They are prey. They have so many roles in the ecosystem. They act as pollinators. They connect to our food in the sense that 1 out of every 3 bites of food out there is connected to a pollinator, and birds are a part of that important family. So when it comes to identifying birds, I have a feeling you guys are in pretty good shape, that you're almost semi-masters, maybe masters. So I thought we'd take you through a few of the questions to ask yourself if you ever come across a bird you don't recognize. Like, for instance, this beautiful bird with its red head came and visited my balcony last year. And I was like, who are you? Never seen you before. Now, if you know who this is, maybe just wait a sec before you enter your guess into the chat, because I want to take you through the steps, because steps in terms of identification are very important. So when you're looking to identify a bird, the first place to go is shape. Now, I'm pretty sure, and this is where you can jump into the chat, my friends, that you might recognize the shape of these two creatures when it comes to birds. Any ideas or guesses as to the identity of these bird silhouettes? So looking at shape. Now, we're obviously going to be diving into other check marks as I stall for our 30-second delay. How you doing over there, Grace?
I'm doing just great, Sherry. We're not seeing any guesses for these birds yet, but I'm noticing that we have one bird with a really pointed beak, and another which looks like it would be a really good bird for floating on water, maybe. Let's see. We have some guesses coming in. We have woodpecker or a duck or swan. Lots of ducks coming in. Or maybe even a loon.
Wow, excellent. Well, duck is right on the money for the top silhouette, and woodpecker. We actually have 3 woodpeckers that call Calgary home: the downy, the pileated, and the northern flicker. So yeah, a very familiar shape, I'm sure. Now, field markings is the next step we generally take when it comes to identifying our bird friend. These ones you probably recognize, so feel free to throw them in, your ideas into the chat. But the field markings on the top one, so distinct, and I love it because those distinct field markings actually give this creature its name. And the one below, oh my gosh, I don't know that there's many provinces or territories or nations that don't know this bird. How are we doing for guesses?
Oh, let's see. We have, oh, the utterly famous Canada goose with a ring
Woo!
around its neck.
Definitely.
That's our guess so far. I know the bird on top is one of my favorite birds to see in our wetlands, or even right here in Calgary. And we have some guesses. We have red-winged blackbird. What do you think, Sherry?
Oh my goodness, these guys are like crackerjack. These did we get the experts coming in
I
this
think
webinar?
we might have.
Oh,
Just
I'm so
birders in the
impressed.
chat.
Ooh, wonderful. So shape, field markings, and size. Size actually helps me identify two birds that are very common in my neighborhood that are the same color. Now, I'm not going to give away those names just because we're going to ask you, but these birds here, any guesses as to who these tiny and bigger birds may be? One you can see is clinging to a branch, which gives some clues. Forked tail on the upper one. The bottom, very short kind of tail feathers. How about you, Grace? What do you think?
Ooh, this is tricky, Sherry, because right here in our city, we have so many different types of little birds. We're seeing some guesses finally coming in here. We have redhead bird, a crow, a chickadee, and a crow. Those are some pretty common guesses. Maybe a raven or a sparrow, a northern flicker, or even a nuthatch. What do you think?
Wow, I'm gonna bring it back to you, Grace, because my guess for the top one is sparrow, and I have house sparrow in my notes. Would that be bang on for you?
You know what? I think that would be bang on for me too. It looks like just a little house sparrow with that nice beak that they could use for cracking open seeds if they need to. And what do you think about the bottom one, Sherry?
I'm gonna have to go with crow.
I would too.
Yeah. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And do we have support?
We have support throughout the chat. Absolutely.
Excellent. Great. Well, it doesn't end there, my friends. You could also look beyond the creature to the habitat where you are. What type of trees, what type of nest, or what type of materials have gone into the bird's nest. Birds like the magpie actually build large nests with roofs made of twigs. They're one of the first birds to come back after they actually sometimes overwinter, but one of the first birds to appear after winter. And they know that snow in Calgary happens in the spring, so they build a roof on their habitat. So looking at the nest is a good way to figure out the identity. Do we have any guesses on the habitat on the left-hand side coming into the chat with those beautiful blue eggs?
Yeah, I think those blue eggs might be a really good indicator, but still just waiting for some guesses here.
I actually had this particular nest. I have it just feet away from me. We have this beautiful bird claiming home underneath our deck this year. So we've been able to observe the eggs. It's been really amazing.
That's a unique habitat. All right, so we have some observations here. Someone who said this habitat looks like it's in a forest because of this beautiful lush tree. And then, oh my goodness, the guesses are flooding in. We have a lot of guesses, by far the most popular for a robin.
Yes, well done. Good old robins and their blue eggs. Well done, everyone. This one is, of course, sound is going to be a little cue for you. So perk up those ears. Here it comes. Ooh. Now, while that's percolating, you can see we've got on the slide, was that a caw-caw or a chickadee-dee-dee? And who belongs to either one of those calls?
Just giving it a moment here, but those are two very distinctive calls, hey, Sherry?
They
And
are.
ones I know I've heard in the city for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The caw-caw is my favorite to bring groups back to the trail after they are done an activity. It's our way of regrouping. Caw-caw. It's one of my favorites to borrow.
Amazing. Oh my goodness, here they come. And we believe that this is a caw-caw. And not only do we believe it's a cawing sound, but there are some guesses that this might be from a crow.
Oh, well done, everyone. Yay. This was indeed our crow. Seen throughout Calgary. And when I indicated that there was the size helps me with two birds that are quite common, the raven and the crow, because they're so similar in color and shape. But when it comes to size, the raven generally is the bigger bird. And so it's funny how you can use lots of these different check marks to figure out who you're looking at. Now, the last one is behavior. Behavior like the red-winged blackbird loves to perch on cattails. That's actually where it builds its nest. The nuthatch has this amazing ability to perch on trees and upside down. So that behavior helps me identify those birds. But this one's your toughest question. But I have good news. There is a huge hint in the behavior of this bird. I looked for something local. So you can find these creatures in the wooded areas in and around Calgary. But I have a little video to play for the behavior, and I hope you enjoy it. Now, it's not a big video, and I did that on purpose because it's not about sight. It's about sound, this behavior. Are you ready? Isn't that awesome? He's gonna do it again. If you've ever been in the woods and think you're hearing a lawnmower starting up, I'm happy to tell you it's probably a member of the grouse family. And that behavior is done in the spring to attract girlfriends. So I just love that behavior. So I had to find a video and share it with. Grace, have you ever heard that in the woods?
I think I have. Oh my goodness, that is such a special sound. And we actually have some guesses in the chat right now. We had a couple of folks while watching the video who hazarded a guess that this could be a prairie chicken, you know, another member of the grouse family, and that this is mating behavior. So just spot on, hey?
Beautiful. Thanks, everybody. It's one of my favorites because it's not only something that you're very lucky to see it, like it's very rare. You hear it, but what I always love telling folks is you feel it. That vibration is something that you can feel in your chest. So the next time you're out, keep a watch out for that wonderful sound of the grouse showing off. So how you identify a bird? All the pieces come together. So consider shape, consider field marking, size, the habitat you're standing or around, the sound that that bird may be making. Here's this beautiful sound of the creature that I had yet to identify. And the behavior, well, it was building a nest in my backyard. So I took all of these wonderful ingredients and came up with housefinch. So it's like a puzzle. It's a really fun game to play, bird identification. Now, bird identification is really come a long way. And as I mentioned, the eBird world gets a big help from this app. This app is called Merlin, and it's a free app that you can download, and it takes you through all of the questions that we just went through together. And this video will just show you how it all comes together.
If you've ever wondered, what is that bird? Let Merlin help you unlock the mystery. Merlin is a new app from the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. It makes bird identification easier by showing you the birds in your own area that match what you've seen. Merlin asks you a few simple questions. When and where did you see the bird? What did it look like? And what was it doing? Almost like magic, Merlin shows you the most likely species for your area on that day. But these aren't wild guesses. Merlin knows which birds are near you by tapping into eBird, a database with millions of sightings from birders around the world. It finds out which species you're most likely to encounter and tailors results for your location.
So all of those pieces come together in your local environment. I mean, how wonderful is that? Free, you're learning, you're helping. It's the most beautiful relationship that we could ever ask for. And on that note, we thought it would be fun to take all of your bird knowledge and passion and play the biodiversity game. This game is virtual. We actually bring it to classrooms, but we thought we'd give you a little snippet and that we do it together in the avatar of a beautiful rufous hummingbird, which I actually was lucky enough to observe over the weekend. They're back. So the instructions are fairly simple. This is a choose your own adventure game where scenario cards will be presented and you, my friends, will be choosing option A or option B. So as soon as you know, let loose your guess into the chat and we'll see how the health points measure out of our beautiful, brave rufous hummingbird. So to begin, having just arrived from your annual breeding grounds, you are half-starved. Due to changing climate on your migration route, flowers are budding earlier than expected. Thus, your source of food during your migration has decreased. What should you do? Option A, eat some insects, or option B, feed on the neighbor's flowers? I know, tough choice, but I'd like you guys to just jump right in.
We're still just waiting here a second, Sherry. Oh, let's see. Oh my goodness, we're a little bit torn here, but I think most people in the chat are saying option B, feed on the neighborhood tubular flowers.
I love that you guys are going community in terms of your route. Well done. But it's actually option A. Oh, the climate change issue is a real one. And as birds come back from migration, flowers are blooming earlier and they can miss them or any other food source that they're used to having. Unfortunately, because we're weaker from our migration, we're going to lose one health point, but we're going to keep moving. We're going to move on to a construction space. So we're down one health point. We started at 3. Let's see what the next scenario holds. Flying to your annual breeding ground area, you see that it's gone. The plants have been taken out and replaced with human machines and dirt. Uh-oh. Do we fly south to find a new nesting ground, or do we fly north to find a new nesting ground? It's kind of the flip of a coin here. South or north? Drum roll, please. Brrr.
I know the suspense. I think we're about a 30-second delay today, so we're just waiting for our answers to come into the chat. It's a tricky decision. Oh my goodness. Okay, here we go. We are currently looking like Option A, majority rules for option A to fly south and find a new nesting ground. What do you think, Sherry?
Well, generally birds fly north in the beginning, so they will keep generally flying in the north direction. So in this case, it is option B. But your instincts, I love that you guys want to go south. That's great. That's like turn around and go back. You have lost your habitat. Everyone loses a health point. Oh my goodness. Habitat loss is the #1 reason why species go extinct. Species are adapted to live in specific habitats, and when they change, it can wreak havoc on the species that call it home. So, oh dear, we're down to 1 health point, Grace. Oh, we better head over and see what comes next. You've flown to a place you wish to establish as your new territory. But first, you're hungry. What do you think, folks? Should we try to feed at a hummingbird feeder, or should we feed from some wild paintbrush flowers in a nearby field? Well, I know which way I'd go, Grace. Which way would you go?
Let's see. I'm hungry. We have a hummingbird feeder nearby, or some wild paintbrush flowers in a nearby field. I mean, the feeder in the nearby backyard sounds really appetizing, Sherry. It is so close, but also those paintbrush flowers sound pretty appetizing as well. I think I'll have to leave this one up to our group to see what they decide. Those are such appetizing options. Okay, let's see. We have, some people saying both. They agree with me that they both sound awesome. We have, let's see. We have a B, please, Sherry. Feed on some wild paintbrush flowers from the nearby field.
I love it. I love it. Unfortunately, this hummingbird is just tempted by that ruby-colored water in the feeder, and off they went to feed from that hummingbird feeder. Another rufous hummingbird has established in this area and chases us off, but that's no effect to us. Okay, so we went to the suburban zone and somebody else had that idea and we've been chased off. We don't lose any health points, so let's keep looking. Oh, we found our space. We have successfully mated and had chicks. We're spending time catching insects and spiders for the young, and a human approaches. Ooh, do we ignore the human, or should we try and fly and hide from the human? What do you think? Oh, humans can be scary. I know, but as a hint, the people on this webinar are not scary. We are the safe. We are the passionate birders. We are the lovers of nature. So I'm going to guess that our audience is going to go.
Let's see. B, fly away unanimously, Sherry.
You know what? I love that you guys went there. I do. But the good news is we decided not to run and hide. We decided to be visible, and the human is a citizen scientist. The human takes our picture and uploads it to eBird. And all of our wonderful information about our habitat and how many they see, and everyone gains health points because of this. Yahoo! We're looking for food, and we think we hear something. Now, I'm going to give this one away just quickly because it is such an important message for us to get across. When it comes to the biggest predator of our songbirds and little birds like hummingbirds, it's domestic cats. So domestic cat was rustling in the bushes and we didn't fly away fast enough. We got hurt, but good news. While we were feeding on those, we were feeding on the shelter, or sorry, I'm getting so excited. Because we had fed on those, okay, don't know what happened there. Oh, my voice is now. Let's shut that off. Sorry about that. Boy, I got excited there. So when it comes to the answer forward, struggling in the hands of a human that had taken our picture, that had come to our rescue after a domestic cat came and made things not so good, our human friend came to our rescue and got us to the Alberta Institute of Wildlife Conservation to take care of us and make sure that we fly another day. So this, my friends, is just a snippet of the wild and wonderful world that birds live in just in our city alone. And birds have it pretty tough. Climate change is changing everything from loss of habitat to changing food patterns to more invasive species like raccoons coming in. So birders, take heart. We are part of the solution. How we can reverse climate change and help our feathered friends? Citizen science. Planting gardens, educating each other, and doing the good that we know you're already doing. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Walking when you can walk, sharing a car when you can share. All these simple things, these small changes add up to a big difference to our friends, our feathered friends, the birds. So there are so many ways that you can get involved in citizen science projects. They're all over and they're open to everyone. We've listed a few here. And citizen science, in the end, is citizen action. And action, my friends, plural, huge plural, is hope. And you guys fill our hearts and our cups with huge abundance of hope. So thank you so much for delving into the world of citizen science. From Green Calgary and CPAWS, know that you rock and that we look forward to you getting involved. We challenge you to find an app that works for you. Download it with your family and friends, your classmates, and get out there and make a difference. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful expo.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sherry, for such an awesome presentation. I know I enjoyed it for one, and I even learned something new. Even though, I'm a birder myself, I like to get out there. There's always something new to learn. And even I have trouble identifying birds sometimes. So all of those citizen science apps are super helpful. So I did just want to add one thing into the chat for everyone. We so appreciated that you joined our session today, and we just have a quick survey for you for both students and teachers if you would like to let us know what you thought. And there's a little bit of a quiz in there for you students to tell us what you learned about citizen science. We would so appreciate if you are able to just take a couple minutes to share your thoughts with us. There you go.
Before we sign off, Grace, what birds did people say they reported seeing?
Oh my goodness, let's see. I have to go all the way back up to the top of our chat here. I know for one, we saw a magpie. We've seen lots of chickadees this spring and robins. Oh my goodness, the robins. I know I hear them first thing every morning. One of the first birds you'll hear.
Wonderful. That's so great. Thanks for all your participation, everyone. We're obviously in the right place with the right people. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, everyone.